Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Wednesday. And I'm going to start this off a little bit different here. I'm going to go to the west because we do have a significant weather event. Just want to say real quick, welcome to all my returning YouTube subscribers. If you are new here to my YouTube channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy these weather videos. If you do, please, if you would, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's absolutely free. And I put up at least one video a day, and you will be notified, of course, when those videos post. We have something that's a little unusual out in the West, and I want to pay a little attention to it. Now, I have to say right off the bat, I'm not really that familiar with how weather in the West works. I don't know. I have a general idea of the geography and the topography, but without actually having lived there or physically been there for only a short period of time, it's very hard for me to grasp the local effects. But one thing that I am noticing and picked up on, and the model did this a few days ago, and I think I briefly mentioned it, but there's a storm that's coming into California that is pretty strong. You can see it right here on the surface map. There's a 990 pressure there. Now, at the latitude that it's at, that's not unusual, but it's the southern end of this that redevelops, and you have a pretty, fairly deep low that's going to move into the South Central California coast, south of San Francisco, and not too far from Los Angeles, and it's going to produce a significant amount of rain, particularly for coastal areas, which is a little unusual. Usually the heavy rains wind up being in the mountains, and the coast is a little drier, but this is going to produce heavy rains everywhere, but the heaviest rains will probably be right along the coast, and also some hefty snows way up near the Nevada border. This is coming at a time where they've got that dam they have that dam that is in perilous condition and may or may not break. I'm sorry, I don't recall the name of the dam, but there's a real big problem here with all this heavy rains that are coming in, and that storm kind of sits here for a while. So we're talking significant rains on the order of 3 to 6 inches. This drought, this 5-year drought in California, is being broken by 5 years worth of rain. It's just incredible how that happens, but oftentimes that's what winds up happening when you have a long-term drought. Everything wants to kind of revert back to whatever the mean is, and you stretch the rubber band as far out as you possibly can. In this case, it was probably stretched out to an extreme, and when it snaps back, it hurts. And this is what we're seeing in terms of snow. Just to show you that, in terms of snow, the snow levels are not that high, are pretty high throughout much of California until you get up into toward the Nevada border, and that's where you start to see the snow levels really come down. So that's where the significant snows will be. You can see these little pockets down in Southern California, probably reflecting the highest mountaintops where there might be some snow. So this is going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm going to show you, look at how it looks like on the upper air. And this is the new N.New model, by the way, that's just coming out now. And there's you can see the flow of the jet coming in off the Pacific, which has been very strong. And this is the system that we're talking about here, and how it's reflected in the upper layers of the atmosphere. And you can see the energy turning. You see how the yellows and the reds here? That's vorticity, the spinning. And you can see how that turns and then starts to close off here. All the energy that's coming around and flowing up into California on the bottom of the trough. You see that there? The strong jet of winds that kind of whips up and around. And this is, comes right in over Southern California, not too far from LA. This is going to be it's north of LA. Orange County, from what I've been reading, may have particularly strong impacts from this in terms of rainfall. Okay, so we'll take care of that major storm in the west, and I think now I want to look at the third major storm in 6 days in the eastern part of the United States. This one's probably going to be, I think, the weaker of the bunch, the weakest of the three. In terms of pressure, it's going to get as intense as the one, almost as intense as the one from the other day. The problem is it comes so close to the one on the other day that the moisture field of the atmosphere has been depleted somewhat. So it probably is not going to be as problematic, both in terms of snow and in terms of wind for the Northeast. And there's your low sitting south of Nova Scotia. Brings some heavy snows into coastal Maine and southeastern New Hampshire, and even into northeastern Massachusetts. And then the low runs right by. Some of that snow also gets into Nova Scotia, and we'll take a look at what the snow amounts that are being generated by today's NAM model. And here you go. So, again, this is this is just looks to be like on the order of about 6 to 12 for much of New Brunswick, down into northeastern New Hampshire. Actually, most of eastern New Hampshire, even the extreme southeast, down into northeastern Massachusetts. And you can also, for Nova Scotia, we're looking at looks like another 6 to 10 inches on top of the 2 to 3 feet that fell the other day. We'll show you the view from southeastern Canada here in terms of snowfall. The amounts here now switch to centimeters on this map. It looks pretty reasonable to me. In Newfoundland, it's the central and the extreme eastern part of Newfoundland is going to probably see more rain than any, probably a change over to rain that's going to cut amounts down. It cuts off like this because the data cuts off at a certain longitude. So it's not that it's all rain. It just doesn't go out far enough in terms of what the data. The NAM model does not go out much further west than 60 degrees west. And we'll put the surface features on this. See, this low winds up actually getting as intense as the other one does. So it just takes a slightly different track. The other one went straight east. This one is going northeast, passing right over Nova Scotia and on up into to the northeast and in between Newfoundland and Labrador. So you can see it there. It's amazing. This is the first time that I really have been paying attention to. Not that I didn't look before, but I'm putting more of my head into the game with respect to this, with regards to how these things impact up into southeastern Canada. So I hope my southeastern Canadian friends are enjoying all this. And as we look for the rest of the week and into the weekend, it looks like we're going to catch a break. The weather, it looks pretty calm. There's, except for both coasts, action coming into the Pacific Northwest for tonight with some heavy rains there getting into California, and that low weekends. And here's that second storm. But you notice much of the area east of the Rockies is pretty quiet, except for a little moisture down in the Gulf. And we've got some snows up into the northern Rockies, and that pretty much is it. So we're going to have to wait to see what happens when this system from Southern California moves along to the east. We'll go to the GFS model so we can take a look at where it takes us in the longer term. I've taken the position that the winter is played out where we've basically been in these 2-week pattern flips, 2.5 weeks warm, 2.5 weeks on the colder side. Nothing exceptionally cold except for the odd day here and there. And it's when we get into those colder flips that we've had snow threats. So I'm thinking we're going to be warm till about maybe February 24th, 25th-ish, and then start to flip back to one more shot of cold that's going to last about a colder look that's going to last for a couple of weeks. And it's when we get to that pattern that I think we'll probably have a couple of more snow shots for the very end of February and the beginning of March. And here we go into next week. Next week looks pretty calm. Actually, Sunday is going to be nice and warm here in the east. Probably a chance for some record highs or near record highs with the west wind, as long as the clouds don't hold the temperatures down a bit. Then a little cooler on Monday. Weak weather system comes through Tuesday night and Wednesday. Not much with that. System here coming up out of the Gulf. Part of some of the action with the southern jet. Now, there is colder air at low levels that builds across the top in Canada around day 9, and now that low moves up northeastwards. You can see that some of that cold air, at least on this model run, wants to show it bleeding down to the south. And again, it's definitely a colder look. I'm not too concerned about the specifics here because I think that's going to change, obviously, but the idea is there. And when we look at the upper air it makes total sense. Let me just backtrack here and put the upper air on for you. And you can see what happens here when we go from this ridge in the eastern part of the United States. Here's a big ridge crack in the east. You've got these Pacific systems that continue to just mosey right along. The flow in Canada does not support any cold air coming down. This is for Monday of next week. And then as we travel along over time, the atmosphere starts to repair. The upper air atmosphere starts to gradually change and repair itself, so that by the time we get to next weekend, the weekend of now February 25th, 26th, 27th, we've got a deep trough in the east with a strong polar flow setting up, coming down out of Canada, and you still have this active Pacific jet swinging systems in. So this is the flip back to the colder look, which I think makes, again, total sense given the kind of winter we've had. Patterns in the wintertime, you kind of get a sense early on of how it's going to go. And then you sort of see it about halfway through that this is the pattern, and it just continues that way. Again, it makes total sense. And it does have, we're now into the 2nd of March on the long range, and you do have, that's a pretty cold flow and a pretty active Pacific jet. So I think there's going to be a couple of more opportunities for snow in the east. But bear in mind that they may play out the same way as the ones that we've had so far. So if you're basically, if you're north of 41 degrees north, your snowfall for the year is near or above normal. If you're south of that, as you get down into central South Jersey, particularly South Jersey, down into Pennsylvania, the southern half of Pennsylvania, and down through Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia, you've had hardly any snow at all this winter, except for that one event back in January for the most part. So, I'm going to suspect that part of the equation may be the same too, that it will come out, the threat areas, that the places that have gotten snow before are probably likely to see it again. The places that missed out are probably stand a good chance of missing out again. That's just kind of how the winter plays out. All right, so everybody have a great day. Website posts on meteorologistjoechaffee.com. My app, if you'd like, for New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. App is free, 99 cents if you'd like to subscribe to any of those zones per month. You get 2 forecasts a day at least. And also, if you've been with me through all this time, I hope you like my YouTube channel with my weather videos. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and you'll get notified every time a new video goes up. Okay, so everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.